What's up everyone? My name is Toby. This is my first YouTube video. I love talking about the things I love, which includes movies, music, TV shows, video games, really just anything that catches my interest, and I figure YouTube would be the best place to do it. I love talking with people about it, so any thoughts you have, just put them in the comments. I figured a good video to start everything off would be my favorite movies of the past 5 years. Now, I don't have a set number of movies I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to talk about some of my favorites. Just so you know, I won't be ranking these movies. Whatever order I talk about them in is just random. It doesn't determine which one I like more than the others because I don't really even know. The first movie I'm going to talk about is from a franchise I've loved my whole life, which is Godzilla Minus One. I actually have the Blu-ray right back here. This is the Japanese release, so it's pretty sweet. Comes in a cool case. It's got some booklets, and the Blu-rays are held in this book that kind of opens up like this. Yeah, it's got Godzilla Minus One and Godzilla Minus Color, which is the black and white version. Godzilla Minus One was my favorite movie of 2023. The movie is about a Japanese fighter pilot in World War II who was supposed to die during the war. Because he was supposed to die, when he comes home, he has to live with the guilt of surviving the war. During the war, he ends up facing Godzilla, and then about a year later, when Godzilla shows back up in Japan, it's kind of symbolizing him having to face his inner demons. There are so many good things about this movie. I think that it's the scariest Godzilla has ever been. Every single time Godzilla's on screen, you feel the destruction, you feel the terror that everyone else is feeling. It's not all about the spectacle of the destruction. It has weight to everything. I would also say Godzilla probably has the best atomic breath in this movie out of the entire franchise, besides maybe Shin Godzilla. The other thing that makes this movie so good is that it has, in my opinion, the best human characters out of any of the Godzilla movies. There have been other good characters, like namely in the original, and quite a few of the other ones, but this one easily, I think, has the most emotion behind the characters and what they're having to deal with. And it also has a good kind of found family feel that I never really expected to get from a Godzilla movie. The acting is great, the characters are great, the destruction is great, the visual effects are great, has high emotions. It honestly has everything I could possibly want from a Godzilla movie, which was what made it my favorite movie of 2023 and one of my favorite movies of the past 5 years. And it feels so good to see a Godzilla movie finally win an Oscar. Now, horror is my favorite genre in all of film, and so that leads me to my favorite horror movie of the last few years, which is Ti West's X. I actually have the Blu-ray for this one right here too. It stars Mia Goth and Brittany Snow, Jenna Ortega, Kid Cudi, and honestly, it just has everything I could possibly want in a horror movie. It's definitely not one that really scares me very much, although that is kind of rare and that's not really what I'm going to horror movies for most of the time. I think one of the things that works so well about the movie is the comedy. I think that X is just hilarious and all of it feels completely natural. I think one of the very best things about X is the comedy in the movie. The characters are all just so naturally funny and none of it feels forced. It all just feels like genuine to how those characters would act or what they would say. They're also really good at placing the comedy. There's never a moment of tension that's broken unless it should be broken. Like, it never overdoes the humor, it never takes away from the excitement or the horror of the movie. And on the excitement side, there are a lot of really good kills in this movie, a lot of really unexpected ones, and just awesome horror sequences that I think any slasher fan would go nuts for. The 70s is probably my favorite era of movies, specifically horror movies, and since X is set in 1979, it just has they really captured the 70s feel, the 70s aesthetic so well, and it all just kind of rounds out to make what I think is one of the funnest horror movies I've watched and an all-time favorite for me. Now, X was actually the start of a trilogy, which had Pearl of the second movie, which was a prequel, and then Maxine as the conclusion, both of which are also really great, but X has remained my favorite of the three. And Mia Goth's performance in all three movies, just wow, she is amazing. The next movie I'm going to talk about came out in 2019, so it is the oldest of the movies on this list, being the one that came out 5 years ago. But I didn't actually end up seeing it until this year, and that movie would be Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is a movie by the Safdie brothers and starring Adam Sandler, and this movie just blew me away the first time I saw it, and it continues to do so every single time I watch it. This movie is known for how anxiety inducing it is because there's just so many tense moments throughout the entire thing. Adam Sandler's performance is just phenomenal. I'd always heard he was a good actor outside of comedy, but I hadn't really seen it before, so when I watched this, it just blew me away. I actually have the Criterion Collection 4K right here. It's probably one of my favorite discs that I own. It's got some of the jewelry, the Furby chain on the inside. Now, Uncut Gems to me is just like an intoxicating movie. Once you start watching, you are just hooked in all the way till the shocking end, and it's just phenomenal. It had been on my watch list for years, but I didn't get to seeing it until recently, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I just had to buy it. I've only seen 3 movies by the Safdie brothers, which is Uncut Gems, Good Time, and Heaven Knows What, and all of them I've just seen over the last few months, and they're quickly becoming some of my favorite directors working today. The characters in this movie are funny but very scummy and intense. They're very hateable in a fun way, I think, which is part of the charm of the movie. I don't want to say too much and give anything away for anyone that hasn't seen it, but the ending of this movie just shocked me the first time I watched it. It's such an intense movie with a distinct feel. I just can't recommend it enough. If you're into crime movies or dramas or thrillers and haven't seen Uncut Gems, make sure you get to it soon because it's phenomenal. The next movie I'm going to talk about is set in the 70s similarly to X, but this one has a very different feel, and that movie would be The Holdovers. It's a dramedy set at a boys' school about the kids that get held over winter break because they can't go home, and the teacher Paul Giamatti is stuck with them, who they don't like him, he doesn't like them. It leads to a lot of good character arcs. They slowly just grow a little closer to each other and get a little better understanding of each other. The thing I love about this movie is that it's super funny throughout the entire time, but you also just grow to love the main characters by the end, all of them. It's super funny, it's really heartfelt, has a few very emotional moments in the movie, and I just find it to be super enjoyable. And while I wouldn't call it directly a Christmas movie, since it is happening over Christmas break, it's definitely one I'm going to throw on every Christmas season. There's another one I have on Blu-ray, I have it right here. Paul Giamatti is amazing in this movie. I think if he hadn't been up against Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, he would have definitely won the Oscar this last year. And Divine Joy Randolph actually did win the Oscar for it for supporting actress, and that was possibly my favorite one of the night. It's just a great movie full of great performances and likable characters with a distinct feel, and I think that anyone who hasn't seen it should watch it because it has something for everyone in there. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the Dune movies. Now I know it's not just one movie, it's Dune and Dune Part 2, but I kind of view them as one thing because whenever I want to watch them, I kind of just tend to watch them back to back since they've been out on home video. I don't actually own Dune Part 2 yet, funny enough, which is kind of odd because it's my favorite movie of the year, but I do have the steelbook for Dune Part 1, and I'm hoping to get the second one to complete the collection for now. If you like sci-fi or just epic movies, then Dune is definitely for you, which I'm sure that there's no one watching this video that hasn't already seen them and knows how amazing they are already. The first one is a great setup, it's got so many great moments, and then the second one just brings it all together in the best way possible. It feels like a book adaptation that lives up to its fullest potential, and even with Dune Part 2 just coming out earlier this year, it's already one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. I won't dwell on Dune too long, so I'm sure that everyone watching this video has already seen it or has heard just a ton about it by now, but I really have pretty much nothing negative to say about these movies. Visually, it's impeccable. From a technical standpoint, everything looks amazing. Every single performance is good. The score is amazing. I just can't praise it enough. And yeah, if you're a sci-fi fan and you haven't seen Dune, what are you doing? You gotta watch it, because it is just fantastic. Now, I don't just love talking about movies, I love talking to other people about movies. So let me know what you think about the ones I listed. Leave some of your favorites in the comments and I'll respond to them. Hopefully we can have a good conversation down there. And yeah, let me know what other videos you'd like to see next. I could go in a lot of different directions since this is my first video, it's a new channel. So anything you think could be interesting, you might as well just comment it and I can see if I ever get to it. Thanks for watching the video, and if you liked it, remember to like and subscribe.